Tahun 2017 lalu, kami dari komunitas Scrum Indonesia mempelopori sebuah konferensi Scrum pertama di Indonesia, yaitu Scrum Day Bandung 2017.
Scrum Day Bandung tercetus atas dasar keprihatinan kami terhadap lingkungan industri kreatif yang belum memanusiakan para insan kreatif.
Lingkungan kerja yang belum mendukung kreativitas membuat organisasi menjadi sulit untuk beradaptasi dengan tantangan zaman.
Scrum Day Bandung adalah inspirasi kita semua agar kita siap menghadapi era VUCA World.
Siap dalam menghadapi kondisi yang ambigu dan tidak dapat diprediksi.
Siap dalam menghadapi perubahan yang begitu cepat.
Siap dalam menghadapi hambatan dan tantangan yang begitu kompleks.
Scrum Day Bandung adalah momen untuk menyuarakan perubahan.
Sekarang, saatnya kami hadir kembali dalam Scrum Day Bandung 2019.
Dengan tema Spirit of Agility, Never Ending Learning. Di sini kita akan belajar banyak hal.
Akan ada 15 topik yang dibagi ke dalam 3 ruangan dengan pembicara dan fasilitator yang siap menginspirasi Anda.
Akan ada Coach Corner yang diisi para coaches yang siap mendengarkan dan membimbing Anda.
Terima kasih kepada seluruh sponsor dan partner yang telah mendukung acara Scrum Day Bandung 2019. Selamat bergabung.
Selamat bergabung.
Selamat bergabung.
Selamat bergabung.
Selamat bergabung.
Selamat bergabung.
Selamat bergabung
Di Scrum Day Bandung 2019.
Scrum Day Bandung itu kami menyebutnya sebuah gerakan perubahan. Awalnya kita mulai dari sebuah meetup kecil di Bandung, mungkin sekitar 10 orang, kita ngobrol-ngobrol tentang Scrum. Jadi ngobrol-ngobrol dulu tercetus ide bagaimana kalau kita membuat suatu event besar yang tujuannya tidak muluk-muluk sebenarnya. Tujuannya untuk mengumpulkan orang-orang yang pengen tahu tentang Scrum dan kita belajar bersama tentang Scrum. Tapi kami menyebutnya ini sebuah gerakan perubahan. Ini acara dari komunitas, kami tidak terafiliasi dengan organisasi atau perusahaan. Kemudian juga sukarela, tidak dibayar panitianya. Bahkan speaker ataupun undangan itu datang dengan sukarela. Kita invite dan mereka datang dengan akomodasi sendiri, transportasi sendiri, dan kita sama sekali tidak mengeluarkan uang sepeser pun untuk membayar mereka gitu ya. Scrum Day Bandung pertama itu tahun 2017. Bisa dibilang kami sedikit nekat, tidak ada uang sepeser pun, kami tidak punya modal. Targetnya pun tidak terlalu muluk-muluk, berharap ada sekitar 150 orang. Kami juga hanya berharap pada dari penjualan tiket, sponsorship. Semua panitia waktu itu tidak punya pengalaman profesional tentang bagaimana menggelar event. Cukup nekat sih. Iya, 2017 itu di luar ekspektasi, ternyata yang daftar 300 orang. Itu benar-benar di luar ekspektasi kami. Ternyata acara Scrum Day Bandung 2017 itu banyak peminatnya. Kami berencana untuk membuatnya lagi di tahun 2018. Yang membedakannya 2018 lebih meriah tentunya. Di luar prediksi, lebih di luar prediksi. Kami targetnya naik dari 300, kami targetnya naik jadi 450, tapi ternyata yang datang sangat membludak. Hitungan kami itu 700 tiket terjual dan itu sangat penuh, sangat sesak. Yang kami tahu itu Scrum Day terbesar karena di negara-negara lain itu mungkin hanya sekitar 200, 300. 2018 ini kita lebih banyak invite speaker dari luar. Karena kita pengen tahu, karena kita pengen belajar juga dari para praktisi di luar Indonesia. Dan 2018 juga kami mulai melibatkan teman-teman dari lokal yang paham tentang Scrum. 2018 juga awal kita membuat Coach Corner, sebuah spot di satu event untuk lebih banyak bertanya-tanya tentang Scrum. Kesannya deg-degan ya. Deg-degannya karena sama kami tidak punya modal juga. Dari tahun 2017 pun hanya ada sisa uang sedikit untuk membuat event ini. Impact-nya secara angka saya tidak bisa ukur. Maksudnya kami dari panitia di organizer tidak punya angka yang tepat bagaimana impact-nya. Tapi yang kami dengar, yang kami lihat dari teman-teman praktisi Scrum, dan semakin banyak organisasi yang menempatkan role Scrum di perusahaannya, mulai banyak HR yang meng-hire atau membutuhkan Scrum Master, orang yang juga mulai belajar tentang Scrum, mulai mengikuti sertifikasi tentang Scrum. Jadi saya bilang impact-nya sesuai dengan harapan. Selain banyaknya orang yang mulai menjadi role Scrum, juga impact yang paling kami rasakan adalah komunitas Scrum di Indonesia semakin besar, anggotanya semakin banyak orang sharing tentang Scrum. Kami merasa itu suatu impact yang cukup signifikan, walaupun kami tidak mempunyai datanya secara rekam, tapi berdasarkan pengamatan observasi kami, Scrum Day Bandung, 2 kali Scrum Day Bandung ini cukup impactful buat para praktisi software development di Indonesia. Di Scrum Day tahun 2019 ini kita mengangkat tema Spirit of Agility, Never Ending Learning. Dengan tema ini kami berharap para Scrum practitioner terus upgrade knowledge-nya tentang Scrum, karena di dalam dunia Agile knowledge itu harus terus diupdate, tidak ada ending state. Itulah tujuan tema di Scrum Day 2019 ini. Dan ini tetap menjadi sebuah gerakan perubahan yang lebih baik lagi. Ya, ini menarik beberapa fakta di Scrum Day Bandung 2019. Jumlah panitianya semakin sedikit. Kita batasi jumlah pesertanya. Kita belajar dari 2017 dan 2018. Di 2018 walaupun kita bisa menggelar Scrum Day Bandung terbesar dengan 700 orang peserta, tapi tidak sedikit keluhan yang datang kepada kami tentang event acaranya. Salah satunya yang waktunya terlalu sedikit, ruangannya terlalu sempit. Oleh karena itu, di 2019 kami lebih mengedepankan outcome daripada output. Kami membatasi jumlah peserta, kami membuat stage yang lebih kecil, kami membuat ruangan yang lebih minimalis sehingga para peserta dan para speaker bisa lebih dekat, sehingga yang kami deliver bukan hanya jumlah pesertanya tapi value yang didapatkan oleh para peserta. Scrum Day Bandung 2019 juga ini yang paling bikin panitia ini sport jantung, karena di 2019 ini juga kami lebih banyak mengundang praktisi-praktisi lokal. Dari 19 speaker hanya ada 2 speaker yang dari luar Indonesia. Ini membuktikan bahwa para praktisi-praktisi lokal ini tidak kalah bagusnya dari orang-orang di luar Indonesia. Bisa kami bilang para speaker ini banyak yang merupakan produk dari komunitas Scrum di Indonesia. Scrum Day Bandung 2019 juga ini tadi yang saya bilang paling mendebarkan, karena dengan jumlah packs yang kita batasi, kita sudah buat agreement dengan pihak hotel dengan jumlah packs yang sudah kita atur, tapi sampai H-14 jumlah target peserta masih belum memenuhi. Kita sempat berpikir untuk apakah acara ini kita cancel aja, karena jumlah pesertanya tidak mencukupi, karena kita juga tidak mau untuk istilahnya nombokin ke pihak hotel dengan sekian uang. Kita sempat desperate untuk cancel acaranya, tapi dengan bantuan teman-teman dari komunitas untuk bantu sebar informasi, masih juga sebenarnya H-7 masih kekurangan peserta, dan ya mungkin masih jadi kebiasaan di Indonesia, jadi selalu mepet-mepet sampai H-3. Akhirnya kita punya angka yang pasti di jumlah peserta sudah memenuhi, dan malah di akhir-akhir seperti biasa, seperti tahun-tahun sebelumnya, di H-2, H-1 itu banyak yang minta tiket baru walaupun kami sudah tutup. Walaupun Scrum sudah menjadi hal yang biasa, mulai menjadi hal yang biasa, tapi kami berharap acara seperti Scrum Day Bandung ini tetap terus mengingatkan, tetap terus menginspirasi agar Scrum menjadi culture, agility menjadi culture perusahaan, agar perusahaan tetap agile dalam menghadapi perubahan dan ketidakpastian. Ya, kami berharap Scrum Day Bandung 2019 memberikan nilai baru bagi para peserta dan terus menginspirasi dalam perjalanan agility-nya. Scrum On.
Hai Scrum Antusias, sesi pertama.
on unconventional people practices that actually support Agile culture. So before we actually start, I just want to get some ground sensing. Who is working in an Agile company now? Show of hands? Oh, quite a few. How about working for a company that is going through Agile transformation at this point of time? Oh, okay, quite a number as well. How about the rest? Maybe here to learn a little bit more about Scrum and Agile? Yes? All right. So let me just start off. All right, the screen is not working. Okay, let's just give them some time, yeah. To set it up, okay, it's up. All right, so today you will actually hear from me 3 very unique people practices that you can't really imagine hearing from very traditional, very big companies. So first, I will be talking about hiring decisions made by the Scrum team members themselves, not like a top-down management decision. Second, I'll be talking about self-promotion processes in a Scrum teams. Third, salary transparency. So most of the time, salary is made confidential, but in Titansoft, it's actually transparent for Scrum teams. So a little bit more about myself. I'm Sky, originally from South Korea, as you can see from the photo just now. I look very different now, anyway. I have been living and working in Singapore for the past 13 years. And I'm currently working with Titansoft. You might have actually seen us in the logos as a main sponsor. So I've been working with them for full-time HR, and also I'm a part-time facilitator. What does it actually mean is I actually picked up facilitation skill sets to facilitate retrospectives for Scrum teams, and also I facilitate discussions. Yeah, okay? And I've been experienced in Agile HR, and that's why I'm here, standing here today to share with you a little bit more about Agile HR. So you must be also wondering, who is Titansoft, right? You probably would not have heard of us before. So Titansoft is actually a software development consultancy company in e-gaming industry. So we have been established since 2005. We have been headquartered in Singapore, but we have branched out in different parts of Asia. So we have 2 offices in Taiwan, one just opened in Jakarta. So you'll be actually seeing some of our Jakarta friends outside our booth. So you come free, feel free to visit us to, just to learn a little bit more about Titansoft later on. We have quite a big, large end user basis. So we have more than 5 million users from 150 plus countries as our end users. So we also have 200,000 more concurrent users. We also have 100,000 users, daily users. That means they come to our websites day-to-day basis. And also, big or small, our company, our employees have been working very hard, more than 100 projects so far. So Titansoft has been recognized with a lot of awards and certifications thus far, since far as you can see in the timeline. But since 2014, we obviously have been, awarded a lot more recognitions. And this is really due to a lot from our Agile transformation since 2014, for our unique Agile culture, very people-centric people policies that we have here, and I will be sharing with you a little bit more later on. And one thing that I really love sharing and would like to highlight is actually the Best Tech Company to Work For award, winner in 2017 by Singapore Computer Society. So, we have been also awarded on par with very big players in the, IT industry. Companies like IBM, Accenture, Razer in the MSC category. So as I mentioned, we have been awarded a lot for our Agile culture and all the efforts that we have put in for our employees' development. So today, you'll be hearing a lot of Agile design thinking, Scrum, but what exactly mean to you and your organizations? So when we actually started in Titansoft, we had these purposes. We wanted to improve things, we had people problems that we wanted to solve, and we also had very clear business objectives, outcome that we wanted to achieve when we first started our Agile transformation, right? So our Agile journey would not have been successful without support from our company culture and also people practices that I'll be sharing today. So in response to VUCA. How many of you actually familiar with this? Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So software industry is known to be very volatile, uncertain, complex, and very ambiguous for the nature of things changing very fast. Our end users' needs and wants also change fast, very, very fast nowadays. So we wanted to respond to this VUCA environment that we're in through this Agile transformation. Yes, we wanted to deliver things faster. At the point of time, we were really working very hard to meet this deadline of projects. And sometimes we missed our deadlines. And we saw a lot of blamings in culture. So the QA departments were pointing at developers for, hey, you're giving me sucky codes, buggy codes. How am I supposed to, do the testings and release things on time? And then the developers are looking at QAs and thinking, hey, why are you doing things so slow? When you don't deliver on time, we are the ones in blame. So we had this culture of back and forth. So we wanted to see if Agile transformation, putting Scrum teams and making our developers a full stack developer, so there is no QA department anymore in Titansoft, see whether they will be a little bit more, ownership of codes that they write. Yeah, it's quite interesting, right? So we wanted to resolve some of these issues using this. And as you can also imagine, our employees were very disengaged at the point of time because of this blaming culture. They had to work overtime to actually finish things on time and deliver our products. And at the same time, we also saw very high turnover rate. People were not very satisfied. They wanted to leave for better opportunities. So we wanted to see how Agile culture, being flexible, being adaptable, will actually help in improving our work-life integration, work-life balances for our employees. Right, so when we talk about who wants changes, a lot of people will raise up their hands because most of the time people are not very satisfied with the current status, correct? I want change. I don't like what you are giving me now. But then again, when you ask who wants to change, there is very great deal of resistance. You see not many hands coming up, yeah? They run away already. So I understand some of you are actually going in through this Agile transformation and you might actually feel some resistance from your employees, from management, different stakeholders at this point of time. Changes can be uncomfortable. It can be chaotic. But this is where HR, people practices actually come in to support this Agile culture, these changes, and see how we can better support our employees, also through giving them more empowerment, but at the same time also giving them the assurance that it's going to be fine. Yeah. All right, so before we actually delve into our Titansoft people practices that we have here, I just want to highlight these are some of the engaging factors for Gen Y millennials. Why do I actually highlight this generation group? It's really basically because our employees are pretty young workforce. Our average age for our employees are about 30 to 31 years old. Yes, so I just want to highlight a couple of things here. Of course, there are many other common engaging factors as other groups of employees, but just for Gen Y millennials, they look for flexible working hours. They want more frequent feedback, and they actually look forward to early promotions. And last but not least, they want more autonomy, more empowerment to make decisions at work, and they find those meaningful. Yes. So today, as I just briefly mentioned at the start of my sharing, I would like to highlight some of our Agile HR practices that we have at Titansoft. It's going to be quite an eye-opener for some of you. Maybe if you are working in a very traditional companies where decisions are mostly made by the managers or higher upper management. So I have here recruitment, hiring decisions by team members, career progression where we let our developers themselves to self-promote when they think they're ready. And last but not least, this is very a confidential topic to discuss, but I'm just going to tell you why we chose salary transparency over confidentiality. So just in a nutshell, salary transparency is just here to support our development teams, our Scrum teams to make more informed decisions, basically for hirings and also promotions. I'll share with you in detail in a short while. So this is our agile way of working. I'm going to refer this framework very, very frequently during my sharing. So first, probing. So we start first by asking ourselves, challenging ourselves of the current status quo. Whether it's still relevant, is there any things that we can do better to better support our employees, or is there any other creative way to get things done? Right, so we also do experiments, be it we start with a smaller group, maybe a pilot run with a pilot small group, or sometimes we just run it out to all employees and see what things happen. I think the most important thing is here, Agile mindset, is really gathering feedback. After you experiment, if you don't gather feedback from your employees, which is our end users, it's going to be very difficult whether whatever you have implemented or executed, does it actually make sense? Does it make things better for our employees? So we do a lot of surveys, we do a lot of one-to-one conversations with our employees to gather feedback and inputs from them. Last but not least, learn. So you don't just collect feedback from all of them and then do nothing about it. Who's going to give you feedback next time anyway, right? So when you gather feedback, we learn, we try to improve, and we revise our processes and policies all together. And this is actually a loop in the cycle where Agile mindset, you are iterative and you adapt to the new changes as well for improvements. So first, let me just share with you a little bit more about hiring decisions made by the Scrum teams. So as you can see, this is our old way of Scrum team hiring last time, and this actually still stands for our functional teams that is non-Scrum. So not everyone in our companies are in Scrum teams basically. So HR, finance, data teams are still under functional teams, right? So filtering, CV, filtering, telephone interviews are done by HR and hiring managers. Second, we move on to the first round, technical assessment. So technical assessments are actually done by senior developers that actually form up our recruitment committees. And last but not least, we have this culture fit assessment. So as I mentioned with you earlier, Titansoft Agile culture is pretty unique. I have to be very frank with you and transparent with you here that not everyone actually fits into our culture. So we take this culture assessment really very, very crucial and essential to our hiring process. So last time, since it was so important, we had hiring managers, HR managers to make the decision before. And then we started questioning. So if in Scrum teams that are essentially self-managing, how are the hiring managers, department managers, HR managers going to know what the Scrum team needs? And this new hire, this candidate is going to work very closely, day to day, with our Scrum teams. So why not just let them make the decision? Oh, sorry. Yeah. So why not just let them make the decision to hire them? And then we experimented it. So we executed by training our 2 representatives from each Scrum teams through the effective interview trainings by HR manager so that they are equipped to better assess the candidates. So we train them. We also at the same time inform the first interviewers, our senior developers, that after the first interview assessment, please recommend to us this candidate will be suitable for which Scrum team. So that was done. And we just tried out, see how things go. And there was some feedback coming from the first interviewers. Hey, Sky, how am I supposed to know this candidate will be suitable for which team? I mean, I can say for my team that this guy doesn't fit, but how about the rest? I don't have that much context. That is really true because our Scrum teams are really working silos most of the time. They're working on their own products, own projects. So how do you actually enable these interactions and alignment? And these were some of the feedback that we received from the interviewers. So what do? We got all the team members to come up together and discuss. Okay, what do we want in a newcomer? What kind of technical stacks do we need at this point of time, depending on our team's skills tree? So we have also discussions along that line of what is their individual strength and what's the weaknesses and what's the gap now and where do you want to go as a team. So they have a skills tree. So they decided, okay, maybe for now we need someone who is very strong in front-end skills or testing skills. That's something that they are missing now. So we facilitated this conversation around this Scrum teams to come up with this ideal candidate for them. So 1, technical skills. 2nd, how about the working style? What is the team dynamics like? What's the personality would actually survive in their Scrum teams? So that was done, and we communicated to all the interviewers so that everyone is aligned. Of course, things are not always smooth. There are also challenges. So first, so you must be also just now wondering, we talk about overall company culture assessment, and we are letting the team members make the decision, right? So there is this discrepancy, team subculture versus organizational culture. So if we let team members decide this person is fit for me, how do we ensure that this person is also fit to the company level? Yeah, and is it really good to have so many small little subcultures under company culture? That was some of the questions that we had. So we actually still have our hiring managers, department managers in the second round interview, just to sit in so that he can see that the team's assessments and the questions and their decision makings are still aligned with our company culture. It's not just like the team members go in and make their decision and there is no department manager or company level management coming in to make sure that this is still aligned. And also, his role is also to challenge and question some of our team members. Because most of the time, in general, people feel comfortable looking for someone who is familiar or similar to them. So if there is a Scrum team that is already so harmonious, people don't dare to speak up, people are too nice, and then they are just looking for someone just like them. So is it going to be productive or effective? Not really, right? Yeah. So that's why our hiring managers also come in and say, hey, I noticed that this personality is pretty similar to you guys. Do you really want someone similar to you? Or, it's just a question for your, thoughts. What will actually bring your team to next level? What kind of personalities do you think your team needs at this point of time? So that he comes in just to challenge the thinking processes and decisions sometimes, but in the end, the team still makes the decision. And as an HR, we still step in as well to equip our team members. So we, as HR, actually provide them with second interview form that is catered just to ask about our company values. And it's not just questions, a list of questions, and then they can just ask, because culture, mindset, aren't these things very subjective anyway, right? People think this is good, this person thinks this is bad or suitable or not. So what we have here on the sideline is different criteria. So these are the good answers for each company value, and if the person has answered all these criteria requirements, then this person has really good mindset and is in line with our company values. So each individual interviewer that go into the second interview to make the decision has this list of questions for their assessment. Next, we have changes in teams' needs and requirements. As I mentioned, Scrum, Agile, things also change pretty fast, right? So how do we actually ensure that everyone is in line and is actually aware of other Scrum teams' changes? It's not just the first time alignment and then that's it. So our department manager actually has weekly team meetings. So 2 representatives from each Scrum team will actually come together every week to discuss about their team's challenges. Are there any changes in the requirements, or what's their progress for the projects? So everyone communicates through there, and then the team representatives will actually disseminate all this information to their teams. So there is still department level and cross-team alignment at this point. So as I shared with you earlier, we like to ask questions, we like to collect stories, we like to ask for feedback. So we asked some team members who joined the second interviews, and then they said, I feel more empowered to make such a hiring decision, which is typically done by the managers. In other companies, more top-down kind of decision-making process. And they feel like, yeah, I know the best. Of course, I know what my team needs, and I should be the one. They feel that kind of ownership of making such decision. And also they think this is very useful information for them. Why is that so? Because this person, the interviewer actually goes in to understand the technical background that this person has, the personality, working style. And this information is very first-hand information for the teams to actually get to know the person before the person actually comes on board, and also at the same time prepare this person's onboarding, because our Scrum teams, they have their own boarding processes and orientation for newcomers. So this becomes an additional information for them so that they can better prepare for the newcomers and make sure that the newcomer settles in pretty right for the teams. And we also asked our candidate, here is our newcomers. I asked one of the very recent newcomer, how do you actually feel meeting so many people on your last interview? And then he said, Sky, are you kidding me? Of course, it's so intimidating, just one person, and then I had like 5 interviewers sitting in the room. And then I said, oh really, was it that scary? He said, at first it was very scary when I walked into the room and I saw 5 people sitting at the table. Yeah, and then I said, okay, so but what do you get out of this session? And then he shared with me, well, but it's still useful because I get to understand better about the role itself, what makes a developer in Titansoft, because we are not a normal software development company where we just develop things, right? We are actually called product developers. So why we don't call ourselves software developers is really because we have a lot of ownership for the product that we are creating. They have voices, they want to solve problems using technical aspects. So I understand the expectation of a developer in Titansoft. But not just that, it's also a first-hand information about each Scrum teams, what they're doing, and I can also have an overview of which team maybe I'm interested to join. So this is also an additional information for our newcomers as well before they join. Right, so the signs are still positive. So in 2016 to 2017, we had 4 people who joined us and left during the probation period. So that's not a lot of numbers compared to many bigger companies, but we're still small with headcount of 80 packs. So we had a lot of people coming in and then leaving because there was misalignment of expectations. They didn't think they would be signing up for this kind of role in Titansoft. And also at the same time, the team actually decided to dismiss some of the developers because maybe the expectations, team working styles, mindset, and technical competencies didn't meet their standards. So dismissal, that also, final decision is by the department manager, but the team members have big deal of say in decision processes, even for dismissals of a team member. Yes. But now, ever since we involved our Scrum team members to the hiring decisions, so far, fingers crossed, so far, nobody actually has left during the probation. Everyone, the newcomers come in, they're settling in pretty well till now. So moving on to career progression, self-promotions in Scrum teams. In a Scrum team that is self-managing, there is no particular team leader, there is no particular department manager coming in to micromanage, and know each individual's performance and contributions on a day-to-day basis. So how would you actually promote a team member in a self-managing team? Yeah, that's what I'm going to share next. So that's something that we started thinking about. We can't possibly have any team leader in Scrum teams because they're self-managing. And how would a team member in such a team know when they will get promoted? So we asked ourselves, why not just let them decide when they think they're ready? It's not like the department manager thinks that, oh, I think you're ready, but maybe in fact I'm not ready yet. But yeah, so we made the decision for our team members to make that call. So we experimented it. In 2015, we actually published self-assessment points. So that's actually for self-evaluations. And we also had technical assessments done by our technical managers. So it's more like a one-on-one pair programming to see what kind of technical skill sets and competencies that you have. So this actually serves as a self-evaluation first. And then we gathered some feedback from our employees again. They questioned us, how do you actually ensure it's fair process? Well, everybody actually says that promotion, performance appraisals are never fair, right? Because it's all subjective. But still, how do we ensure fairness? Because technical competencies are actually highly dependent on the projects that you'll be assigned to or have the opportunity to work on. So if we were to standardize it with personal evaluation scoring system. Technical managers think that, oh, to be a senior, you need to have this technical practice, but maybe I didn't just have the opportunity to work on it in my current project. So these are some of the questions that we were posed back, and then we thought, okay, maybe we need to revise again for our process. I'll be sharing with you later on what is our current process data. And then people also started questioning us about the quality of applicants. So there was one year we had lots and lots of applicants coming in saying that I'm ready, just promote me, I'm ready for the next level, next job grade. And then we, as HR, we arrange all the panel interviews, prepare all the documents and etc., etc. And then we realized not many people actually passed that year round. And then there goes like, oh, maybe our self-assessment has some problems, because apparently everybody thought that they're ready, but then again, there was some gap. So we have learned, we have revised along the way our processes, and here it is, what it's like now. So we have self-assessment as usual, but that's still a pretty overview gauge of where the person is. We have first round technical assessment by the technical manager, but at this point of time, this is not like a pass or fail. You can still move on to the next level. So for juniors, we decided we are not just going to look at technical competencies, but maybe we will also look at how other seniors see you or your contributions for the past maybe 6 months or even 1 year plus. And also product owners can also write a letter of recommendation where, has this person, junior, has created any business impact? Not just being good at technical skills, but other than that, business impact. And for seniors, we have cross-office voting system. So you must be wondering why voting system for seniors, right? So if I get voted, do I immediately go in through the panel interviews and do I get promoted? Well, that's not as well. So I'll share with you a little bit more. Cross-office voting was actually initiated to encourage our seniors to share a little bit more knowledge across the offices and not just limited to their own Scrum teams, because as I shared with you earlier, our Scrum teams tend to work very silo. But the knowledge sharing shouldn't be limited to their own Scrum teams. We wanted things to go outside of their Scrum teams and even cross offices. So they do the voting. If they think this senior is ready to be the next level, I'll vote for you. So this comes in, and it's not just voting, they have to also state the reasons why I think this person should be promoted this time round. And as I said earlier, our company is pretty transparent, so not just the voting gets, you just voted and it's closed up. We actually publish all the results out across offices. So who gets how many votes and who voted for who and the reasons why. So we make things very transparent and you can actually see it. Alright, and last but not least, we have panel interviews. So panel actually consists of 2 members, one nominated by the department manager and the other appointed by the applicant themselves, just to ensure fairness. It's not just like I'm bringing my best friend in and then you're gonna say yes because I bought you lunch and dinner and whatnot. Yeah, so to remain this fairness, we get department managers also to come in and the team member appointed by the department managers. And we also have product owners coming in as panels for the last round interview, so that our seniors or juniors don't just talk about technical skill sets that they have, but also having this business mindset and impact. And we have HR coming in to the panel interviews, so that the person has right mindset, culture fit for the next level of job grade. Last but not least, of course, we have department manager coming in as well. So, as I mentioned earlier, so senior, I get voted to get promoted, right? But does it mean that they really have to go through the panel interviews? Not really. What it means is that even though I am promoted, I'm voted this time around, I can just choose to opt out, and it happens for a lot of the cases. Because they do self-assessment, they think they are not ready, even though they might have made some contributions to their teams or across offices, but they just think that they are not ready yet. Yeah, so people can actually just choose to opt out as well. But if you want to just try it out and see how things go, yeah, you're all welcome to just go ahead and go through the panel interviews. So in the panel, they ask different questions from different perspectives. And at the end of the panel interview, everyone in the room has to say yes before the person gets promotion. So there are 2 rounds. The first round is just based on the interview and based on their observations, and also all these self-assessment and technical assessment and all those supporting documents are also part of the evidences and source of information before they make any decision. So first round, they say, one person says no, the rest say yes. Of course, when you say no, you have to also share the valid reasons why you say no, and then the rest say yes and why yes. And the rest of them can convince the person who said no, maybe, during the process. And there is a second, which is the last round of voting, and everyone says yes, then the person gets promoted. And there is still someone who says no, then the person doesn't get it this time round. So you must be wondering, what happens to those people who don't pass or remain at this current job grade? But of course, emotions, right? Disappointed. Because you thought you are ready and you applied for promotion and you didn't get it. There's of course emotions tied to it, but our culture is always continuous learning, continuous improvement, and this should be also seen as an opportunity for you to gather some feedback from different people. So the assessors give consolidated feedback from different perspectives. So this is one-time opportunity and chance for this person to gather some inputs from HR perspective, in terms of the mindset, how do I get to the next level, or from a junior to senior, what is expected of a senior. And we also have product owners' perspective coming in, direct feedback on how I can improve and where's the gap between where I am now and what's my next level. So this is a true story of a journey from a junior to a senior. Yes, he tried it last year, mid-year. He didn't get it, he remained at his job grade, as usual, disappointed, but receives feedback from the department manager that, hey, I noticed during the panel interview that you are able to identify a lot of problems that your currently team faces. Things like people are not speaking up, decision-making processes are very, very slow because everyone is harmonious and say yes, or I think okay, so decisions are made pretty slower. How do we encourage healthy conflicts as well? So these are some of the things that you have identified in your teams, but what have you done to influence your team members, each and every one of them, to bring your team to the next level or to improve their performance? What exactly have you done? As a senior, our expectation for you is not a problem reporter. Everyone can say, I identified problem in my team, but what have you done? So we want people to solve problems, not just report the problems that they see. So this was communicated to the person. And he gathers inputs, advices from seniors. He also came to HR to see how can I improve my communication, maybe in the team discussions. How can I be a better person, better senior, better mentor to the juniors? And this actually helped to create some impact and influences within the team. And he thought, okay, I've pretty much cleared all the feedback that I received, so why not try it again in the next cycle? So in TitanSoft, we have promotion cycles 2 times a year, mid-year and year-end. So he tried it again half year later, and he got promoted. So I think this is also, learn from failures, right? So you get learnings, you get feedback, and that's where you don't give up. You continuously self-improve, self-learn, and you see this opportunity for your own growth. And also in line with Agile framework, inspect and adapt. So as I mentioned earlier, TitanSoft people like to do feedback sessions, right? So after each promotion period, every time, we will actually conduct retrospectives with all the stakeholders that were involved in the process for that time round. So it could be things like applicants, it could be the panel interviewers, HR. So from when to when? From the time the applicant decides to apply for promotion, all the way to the time when the results are announced to the company. So we will review the whole process again to see, is there anything we did wrong, or is there any gaps that we need to improve on based on the feedback from everyone. So yes, this was just done a couple of weeks ago, self-promotion retrospective. So HR will actually facilitate this whole session. So that is also where I come in as a part-time facilitator sometimes to facilitate facilitate these discussions. And yeah, you can see Chandra, my colleague, he will be sharing his sharings and experiences later on. Yeah, he's also inside. And we gathered some feedback and trying to get a sensing whether are we doing things right at this point of time. Is it right decision to make our employees, have this decision to say, I'm ready to promote to the next level. And 78% of people actually think that they are in charge of their career progression. So if I may just remind your memory back to the time where I talked about engaging factors about Gen Y and millennials. What do they look out for? They look out for more autonomy, they look out for more frequent feedback, and also they want early promotions. But of course, you don't always get it, but yeah, this is an opportunity for me to try it out and see where I'm lacking, and then I try it again, and you get it. So having this autonomy and this empowerment, yeah, they feel in charge of their own career growth, and yes, it's still in line with what they want in a workplace. Right, so last but not least, I would like to talk about salary transparency. So how many of you, when you hear this, actually feel very shocked and don't believe in this? Just a show of hands. Wow, okay. Okay, my job here is to convince you, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna share with you why we did it and see whether it's applicable for your organization. So, yes, some people find it very shocking. Why salary transparency? Almost, it's becoming a very industry standard to say salary should be remained confidential. And you will actually get into trouble if you actually discuss your salaries with your colleagues. Most of the companies, yes, they have a clause there, confidentiality, and then whatnot, you go warning letters and whatnot. Yes, but why did Titansoft made it into transparent salary? So in Titansoft, we have different job grade system. Maybe it starts with job grade 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and it goes on. And for each job grade, salary is fixed. There is no range of salary. Salary is fixed and is transparent for Scrum teams. Why we stepped into the salary transparency is really because we wanted to minimize this guessing game. Even though it's confidential, do you still talk about your salary with your colleagues? Yes, I hear it, yes. Yes. I mean, it's confidential, but people still talk about it. But why? Why this communication cost? If we are not moving forward with all these conversations behind, why not just make it open about things? So that was just a minor thing that we wanted to resolve. And we wanted to minimize this unconscious bias when it comes to salary decisions. I don't know about here in Indonesia, but many of the parts of the world say, oh, women generally get paid less, right, in many countries. Gender bias that comes into salary decision-making power, salary decisions. And also about people who are drawing high salaries in maybe in banking industries or pharmaceutical industries, they pay generally higher than certain industries, right? So if the person has same skill sets, but because my last drawn salary is higher than maybe A, I get more salary when it comes to getting a new job. So how is this fair as well, right? So maybe in your organization you have staff A and B, performance pretty much the same, but different salary. So what we wanted to achieve here is, fairness. And the other thing about here, very big pillar of Agile is transparency of information based on the needs to know basis. So, if you recall, our Scrum teams have very great deal of autonomy and empowerment, yes? They get to make decisions whom they want to hire. They are also part of the panel interviews to make the decision whether or not my team member will get promoted this time around. So if you don't have the salary information, how much this person is getting paid, what's the person's job grade, then how do you make that informed decision? Yes? So all these things actually come in place to support some of the people practices that we have here. We want people to have access to information that they need to make informed decisions, better decisions each time. So we started probing ourselves. What will exactly happen if we make salary transparent? are our employees going to quit, and feel very unhappy about it and things like that. We started probing ourselves, like, what would exactly happen? Now, it's just a practice that it has been kept confidential, but nobody talked about salary transparency. What would happen? And we experimented in 2015. HR did a sharing and briefing about new salary to each job grade system. Well, as usual, we like to collect feedback and surveyed with all the employees how they felt about their new salary and this new practice. And actually 68 people voted saying that, yeah, I feel this is a good practice. And so we learned, we continue with this process every year, but what's more important here that I really would like to highlight here is that not being transparent about just the salary amount. We are transparent about the whole process of how your salary is computed. So HR actually conducts salary benchmarking briefing every year and also benefits briefing if there is any changes, because we review our compensation benefit packages every year to see whether it's still relevant or not, because company-wise we don't want to spend money on something that employees don't value, right? So we do these reviews every year and HR conducts transparent briefing. So we actually collect data, salary data from Tar Watsons and various other government websites, and we make it very transparent. Hey, this is a range of median, mean, how many percentile, 0 percentile, 100 percentile. This is a range of salary in the industry that we're in, software development industry. And these are some of the big players. Google, Facebook are all in terms of the data. And this is your new salary and how it's computed. Yeah, we make things very transparent. And of course, there are opportunities after the briefing session. If someone has some questions to clarify, why this percentile and, why now you consider this company for comparison and whatnot, they can ask our HR manager and she will be there to clarify the questions. So every year, January, we will actually conduct salary briefing, and we also ask employees, how do you feel about this transparency? Because a lot of the times we have newcomers coming in, so we want to hear from their voices as well, and also whether they are satisfied with their new salary. So, when the increment is high, a lot of people say, yeah, I'm really satisfied with the things, but sometimes when the market is not so well, yeah, people say I'm neutral, but at the same time, it's also an opportunity for us as HR and management to also clarify if, let's say, the increment was not as high as previous years. Maybe you can also show them the data, hey, this is market trend of the salary ranges or for these roles that we have in Thailand South. Yeah, so 68 people still think it's a good practice, and 32 people actually think they don't really make a big difference. Yeah, so we still continue with this practice. Yeah, so this is, the photo is pretty blurred, but yeah, this is actually our annual salary benchmarking briefing conducted every year by our HR manager. Yeah, so this is the round things are all the competitors who are inside the salary benchmarking and where we are in terms of our salary in a range. Alright, so these are some of the good words, or I would say some positive things that we hear from our employees, and also when as HR share with our newcomers or candidates themselves, what do they feel when they hear about salary transparency? So a lot of them say, yeah, I think this is fair practice. And people also think, wow, your company actually talks about transparency as one of your core values, but I didn't know that you take it so seriously to this level. Yeah, and people think this is unique practice. Yeah, it is really quite unique, I would say. And some employees see this as source of motivation. So what does it mean? You can actually see how much next job grade is earning. It's transparent, right? So this is like, oh yeah, I need to work harder, I can get this much more money, to go to the next level. So yeah, some people say that it's a source of motivation to be able to see, yeah, what's next. But of course, we have also encountered some challenges by having very fixed salary and it's transparent. So as HR, when we were hiring for senior developers, we had a lot of cases coming in and say, after the first interview, this is the job grade, for example, 11, that this person has skill sets for. But then because our salary is fixed and the person is already earning maybe more than what we can offer in his current company, And we are not very flexible in this manner to hire this person in. Yeah, and he would be, most of the company candidates would like to join us, and they will ask, can you be a bit more flexible? Is it negotiable? And things like that. And as HR, we need to tell them, we are really sorry, but this is our salary structure, and it's not going to be very fair if we make exceptions for our existing staff. So what we actually do, sometimes it's no choice, we really need to let go of some candidates. But as HR, what we do is we take note of how many cases are as such. Yes, so it might be the case where maybe in their current company, they're just getting paid higher, but their skill sets are not up to mark. That might be the case, but is it really the case, individual cases, or is it generally our salary benchmarking is not competitive anymore, even though we do this annually? So in 2018 mid-year, along past 6 months, first 6 months of 2018, as me, as a tech recruiter, I started seeing a lot of candidates coming in for senior level, but we were not able to match up to their salary expectations. And I just raised it up to our management, hey, I think we need to see whether our salaries still are competitive, even though we have done this benchmarking just December, and we announced it in January. So then we went to collect a lot of data from Tom Watson's, from different sources of websites, governments, and things like that. And yes, we did realize that in the past 6 months, market trend salaries have increased. Yes. Yeah, so as HR, these are some of the symptoms and signs that we gather from our candidates, trying to stay relevant to the industry practices and standards. And yes, we did salary benchmarking again in mid-year of 2018, and we announced the new salary for seniors and junior developers. So that's how we actually try to minimize some of the challenges that we face by having salary transparency practice. Right, so these are what we have tried, right? So I have actually highlighted here, I only had time to go through the 3 big main things, but my colleague Chandra will be sharing a lot more about peer reviews, what actually is relevant of performance appraisal in Scrum teams. He'll be sharing with you guys in depth later on, maybe in the afternoon. Yeah, so these are what we have tried so far. But we are still on our journey. So whatever I have shared with you today, who knows, will it be the same in the next 6 months or 1 year down the road? Yeah, we constantly probe ourselves, challenge ourselves, ask ourselves, are our people practices still relevant? Does it still support our self-managing teams to perform better, to make better decisions, and better engagement as well? So we constantly question ourselves, and we always iterate and adapt. So this is our Titansoft journey, and this is our story. And next, I want you to think about what will be your organization's story next. Well, this is what have worked for us, Titansoft, having very young workforce, 30 to 31 years old on average. We have very flat hierarchy. We don't have a lot of layers already in our organization, being it not too big. We have 85 PECs in Singapore office. Yeah, and people generally, the mindset are pretty open, they're flexible, they want new challenges, they don't mind just giving it a try. And we have very strong support from our management and leadership teams for experimenting. So this is what have worked for Titansoft. But every organization is different. Spotify is different. So Spotify has their own tribes and whatnot, but then that works for them. But don't Spotify or Titansoftify your organization, because they're all different. So understand the context, understand your business needs, understand your people before you delve into agile transformation or even looking into people practices that you want to revise today. So if you just forget about everything that I said, I don't know, I took about half an hour plus, but yeah, if you forget everything that I've said today, but I want you to just take away with one question that I hope you can answer. Do your organization's current people practices actually support the culture that you want to build in your organization? It could be the case, you started your agile transformation, your company is agile, but do your people practices actually support this culture? Or are you still in a very big MNC traditional style? And there is conflict. There is work processes changes, but do people practice also change together? Yeah, so I hope that just food for some thoughts before you actually go out of this sharing. So with that, I would like to actually end my sharing today. So thank you so much for joining me early this morning and being so attentive. And yes, I'm very interested in Agile HR, in general, Agile culture, and I'm also part of a culture facilitator team, so I also help to enhance our company's Agile culture, company values as well at this point of time. So if you're interested, do QR code scan. I made it easier for you guys to find me on LinkedIn. Yeah. And I'll be standing around here, and our colleague's booth is also just outside at Titansoft. So I'll be there. If you have any questions, just feel free to drop by. Yeah, so with that, I end my question. And yes, I will open the floor for any questions that you have here. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I think you can just pass on the mic.
Hi Sky, I'm Rika.
Yes, hi.
I would like to know more about, you said that you put the transparency policy because you want people to grow and drive the career progression, I guess.
Yes.
But looking at the flat organizations that you have, how do you ensure that people is not only thinking about increasing their salary by increasing their grade?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's better to how your company and culture, make them to think that growing can be also lateral. They can enrich their experience and the competency through lateral movement, for example, from one Scrum team to another, rather than thinking about upgrading.
Oh, okay.
Second one is when you decide to socialize or to review and inform the people about the benchmarking result, for example, how do you ensure that the maturity is enough so people will take it, positively? And I would like to know more about how to ensure that people is mature enough to take the information. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you for the question. So the first question about lateral movements, or how do we ensure continuous learning mindset? I think that's really a valid question here. For us, we have monthly peer review sessions. So this is a platform for them to actually gather also feedback for my performance and my skill sets at this point of time, and I gather feedback from our peers. Yeah. So when you hear feedback about, you lack in these skill sets, you want to grow. So that's how we want to have these conversations to support this mindset of individual growth rather than, okay, I can, promotion is what I look forward to. But some people, I think that's fine to look forward to growing in that manner. Yeah, and continuous learning, I didn't share it today, but we actually have also T-shaped talent. So what it means by T-shape is that, I can't draw it here. So T-shape, you have relevant skill sets. Yeah, you have relevant skill sets that will help you to go deeper into your core competencies. So for example, as HR, I have core competencies in recruitment, but at the same time, my T-shaped general relevant skill sets are actually facilitations, for example. Yeah, so for developers themselves, they can go deep into back-end programming, but at the same time, they could have things like UX knowledge that will actually deepen their front-end skill sets or mindsets and things like that. So we do have a T-shaped talent reviews. So our department managers at HR will actually also look out for different trainings or conferences that will help them to grow in that T-shaped manner. Yeah, and also we do have cases where people move to different job scope. So we do have people from developer background who like to be interested in doing data engineering. So she picked up new skill sets and then she applied internally. She wants to move on to data engineering because that's her new interest. That also happened before. We also have people from developer background who would like to go into Scrum Master role because she's very passionate about helping people problems. Yes, so we do have these open opportunities for them to pursue their interest within the organization. Yeah. So I hope that answers some of your questions. So the second part about maturity, I think that is really a very valid question because as I shared with you, the salary transparency is basically only for Scrum teams, and it's only based on the need-to-know basis. So for HR and other functional teams, there isn't a need for us to know other people, our peers' salaries. And I think also the department manager has this judgment of whether the team is matured enough to take it and start comparing their salaries or not, because functional teams, the salary might be differing in terms of even within the same job grade. Yeah, so in terms of that, we basically make it need-to-know basis. And for Scrum teams, we didn't just like announce it immediately that this is your new salary. What we did was, even before we started in 2015, we had some adjustments along the way. So for people who needed to increase, we did it gradually when it was still confidential. So we made the gap not too big amongst the same job grade, yeah. So when we announced the new salary, it wasn't a very big shock to everyone, yes. So hope that answers questions. Organizers, how much time do I have? 7 minutes. Don't worry, I'll be outside, so if you need me.
Okay, thank you. I'm Noah.
Yeah.
So my first question would be, I think you told us that the salary is fixed in Thailand, and why is it like that? Why there's no range? What are the principles? And the second one would be, currently my organization is in the middle of like thinking whether if we put a position title with junior until senior, or just put it aside and just have the same position title. So what is your perspective on that? Is it, which one is more motivational to the development team?
Okay.
And I think that's all. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So for the question of why just one fixed salary is also administrative wise. It's a lot easier on our side in terms of payroll, and also because if you start having different salaries and it's transparent among themselves, among the different team members, there will be a lot more comparisons that we don't want to create this culture. So I'm maybe 4,000 and then you are 4,001, and then you start comparing even within this job grade. Maybe you and I are same job grade, and I see same technical skill sets. So that's one of the reasons why we still keep it to one fixed salary. But then again, how do we actually reward those people who perform better? And I think that's also a very big part of our engagement, right? So what we do is we defer this by bonus allocations and other forms of rewards. Yeah. So, but in terms of base, it's still fixed and transparent. Yeah. Just to not create this culture of comparisons and unnecessary conflicts. Yeah. And then for your question about the job title, I think it's quite interesting because in TitanSoft we also have only two, I think, major ones in development teams for developers. So we have just a product developer from maybe job grade 8 to 10, and then 11 onwards we are actually called just a senior product developer. Yeah. So I think how our employees actually see this job title is just a matter of, okay, this is what I can put in my CV or resume or LinkedIn. Title, how they see themselves benchmark against is basically on the job grade. And we have a very clear job grade expectations and what is expected of each job grade. It's also very transparent and shared amongst our company. So from 8 to 9 to 10, that's how they see themselves instead of being labeled a job title. Yeah. Thank you very much. 4 minutes. I could take one more question, I think. Yeah. What is it? We have quite a bit.
Thank you. My name is Vale.
Hi,
I have
Vale.
a quick question actually. In my previous experience where they do the panel promotion interview,
Yes.
they have the problem with the seat limitation. They cannot go, okay, people from this level to this, we only have 10 seats, while the candidate to go up is actually more than 10. So sometimes people don't get promoted just because there's not enough seats. Do you have this kind of problem in that itself?
Okay. For junior level, actually, we don't have quota. Our operating principles are pretty much very different from very big companies where they have salary budgets every year, yes. And job grade and how much you can pay certain people is also fixed a year. We don't have that kind of limit, that ceiling actually within Titansoft. Yeah, so, and we also feel that if the person is ready to the next level, I think we should really rightfully promote this person, and not just because we don't have seats and we don't proceed with this promotion. Yes. Yeah. So that's, I think, different context of different management style. Yeah. Does it answer your question, or do you have follow-up questions?
Follow-up question maybe?
Yeah.
How do you maintain the pyramid of the company? I know that you implemented the flat organization, but in my current company, since it's a big, I think it's a bigger, it's multinational. In my previous experience,
Okay.
It have this layer of pyramids that you need to maintain. You cannot have more seniors than the junior level. Those kind of things. Do you also have this kind of similar problem, or since you are flat, literally flat, then it's easier to manage on this part?
Correct. We are okay. So that's a very interesting point here. We have two dual career track. So a lot of the companies actually see manager role as promotion. That's how you can grow your career path. That's the normal way, and it's similar to Facebook. Facebook also has dual career tracks. So what we want to do is we want to only attract and put right people at the managerial roles. So how they want to see progressing up is actually through the job grade system. Maybe if you are interested in technical, you're actually under the expert stream. So we don't have that quota, basically, in terms within the expert stream, whether you are senior at job grade 12 or 11, or you are a junior at 9 or 10. So because everyone is an emergent leader, so one of our core values as well. So we don't particularly have someone say, okay, I make the decision, you follow in Scrum teams. Yeah, so essentially they are self-managing. But then again, if you're talking about manager roles, we have department manager, we have assistant manager, team leader for functional teams. Of course, that we have quota. I mean, we don't want to have so many layers as well, because we want to maintain this flat hierarchy. But then again, how do we select all these roles? In the M roles is through observations. So it's not like we hire from outside straight. We see from the expert streams whether they have actually displayed any leadership qualities or personalities, whether they're really interested in people managing and development. And then we will give them a probation period to see how they perform. And then once they actually have really showed us that they are, great leaders, and then we will put them into managerial roles. All right, okay, the organizers say, no more talking. All right, so with that, I'll just end my session here. Just feel free to look for me here or outside at Titansoft booth. Thank you so much, guys.
Hai Scrum Enthusiast, sebelum kita lanjut ke sesi berikutnya, kita kasih break dulu selama 15 menit. Selamat menikmati.